called weed dog.
We should start with introductions.
Introduction. I'm Chuck Barron.
John Ames.
Ed Avery, code enforcement officer.
I'm Melanie Weston with Kennebec Valley Council of Governments.
Andy Levitt.
Carolyn Guerra.
We're at the TV.
Jean Lancaster.
Richard LaBelle. Tim Lyman.
Okay, review of the minutes of March 13th meeting. If there's no errors or omission, I'll entertain a motion to approve them.
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
All those in favor of it?
Go around.
Yeah.
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 Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
Discussion and action on subdivision ordinance update. If you have the.
Yes. So I'm hoping you all had a chance to review this. I will pass out, I also have a checklist that I've created to go along with this application, so I'm gonna hand this around for you to pass out. There's about 7 copies there. Perfect, so there should be enough for you all. Firstly, I've had a chance to get this reviewed by Hillary at the DECD. To make sure this is also in compliance with LD 2003. Which is the new laws on accessory dwelling units, to make sure that is in compliance with those laws. So she did have some edits that I'll go through with you guys tonight, that are not reflected in the ordinance itself. She did also let me know that there are currently 2 laws going before the legislature that could edit the definition of subdivision from 3 kind of separations to 5. We should know whether those will pass within the next month or so. So I would recommend the board kind of hold off on recommending any changes to your current ordinance into your select board. You guys have a select board, right? I would recommend holding off recommending any changes on this to the select board until we know for sure whether those definitions will change. I don't see that being a major deal to what I've done so far. We just have to change the definition of subdivision in this ordinance, and then it could move over to the select board. But as soon as I hear from the legislature whether that definition will change, we can make those changes in here and then pass it off to the select board. So besides what you see here, the changes that Hillary recommended are 1 on page. Starting on page 10 with section 2.6 lots, section B. So I took these kind of minimum lot sizes from your existing ordinance. But for section B, referring to duplexes and multifamily, I took those directly from the kind of ordinances that I was working with as an example for this, which was predominantly Deer Isle and Skowhegan. So that was not reflected. So I did change what is in there for duplexes to more readily reflect what would be for your other existing ones. So for instance, now it is going to be 30,000 square feet. And another 30,000 square feet required for each additional individual dwelling unit, with a total of 90,000 square feet of land area or 6 acres. And I'll reflect that in the next additional changes that I give you guys next meeting. Another edit is on page 12 that I just want to show you, and that is section J. So in any designated growth area identified in the town of Madison, one of my coworkers suggested this should be taken out since Norridgewock doesn't have zoning. We just wanted to confirm if that would be okay with you guys, whether we took that out or not. I did leave within the ordinance references to comprehensive plans, even though you all don't have one, since the plan is to write you guys a comprehensive plan, hopefully within the next few years.
So you just said section J.
Yes.
on page 12.
Oh, excuse me,
Am I at K on page 12?
okay,
Okay, and we do have a comprehensive plan,
you do have a comprehensive plan,
it's just
okay.
old.
It's just, yes. So I will leave any,
And that's supposed to start in September.
yes,
We pushed it to the fall, just because
Yes.
summer's not a good time to get started.
exactly. So I will leave in. Excuse me, my mistake, I just haven't been able to find it online. Can I get a copy of your existing comprehensive plan, by the
Yeah.
way? Perfect. All right, and the other edit I wanted to bring up is in off-street parking, that's on page 17, 3.2. Off-street parking. We just added, after dwelling units, a small line saying accessory dwelling units, there's no additional requirements for accessory dwelling units.
Say that once more, please. The citation and then.
3.2 on page 17, off-street parking.
16 less
You have my better.
within a baseline, yeah.
So under section A, we added 2 accessory dwelling units, no additional requirements.
So are you saying under A1, dwellings 2 spaces, or which one?
So we added a 2 under 1. So 2 would be not commercial establishments, it would be another 2 accessory dwelling units. No requirements, no additional requirements.
All right,
Would that be something that we might wanna consider adding one space required?
You cannot, under LD 2003 state law, accessory dwelling units cannot have additional parking requirements.
That makes no sense.
I know,
You're
under,
dwelling there, they need a vehicle.
but they cannot have more, they cannot require more additional parking.
I thought the ADU, it was required that they have to have a certain amount of parking space for an ADU.
I believe the correct term, if you give me 1 second, I can look up the state law, but I believe the correct terminology is you cannot require more parking than what is already required for the existing single family. So you can only require what's for the single family.
So if anybody wanted to increase the threshold, it would be by requiring additional parking spaces for a dwelling unit.
Yes. If that's something you're interested in, we could.
So what is the definition of an accessory dwelling?
An accessory dwelling unit, in 1 second. I believe I may have put it in there.
So accessory dwelling units is something that Maine has just seen in the last couple of years,
Yeah, last year it came,
and it's a part of housing crisis. And how do we try to address that in zoning and whatnot, but
Mhm.
it was a big thing for shoreline zoning to get another structure on shoreline zoning, and that, but it meets the need for the shortage of housing.
Essentially, what I'm referencing LD 2003, that is the main state law that now requires municipalities to allow accessory dwelling units on structures. So they are any dwelling unit that is accessory to the principal structure on it. Yes, so it's either connected to the building, adjacent to it, not connected, or within the structure itself, for instance, a basement or an attic.
And it's limited by square footage as well.
And that's limited by the municipality.
Right.
So that's if the municipality puts a maximum on it.
So that still retains the square footage. Is it square footage or is it?
It's depending on where you are, so if you're in shoreline, then it's footprint, right?
Right.
But when you're outside of it, then it's square footage.
There's a minimum requirement of, I believe it's 165 feet, but again, the maximum is determined by the municipality. I think that's all the major changes I wanted to hit before I turn the floor over to you all for your comments.
On page 26 here, we go to preliminary plan for subdivisions. So like our plan that we have now, you have a site sketch type of plan where you kind of approach the board here, then you had, then the preliminary and then you have the final. So with this, are we kind of making it faster, streamlining the process?
That's the hope, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, it kind of takes, and it also takes the preliminary and puts it onto you. And it wouldn't have to go before the board.
gotcha.
Yeah,
Quite a process.
Right. Subdivisions are,
Yeah, oh yeah, I understand.
there also is the option at the end for a waiver so that you can combine the kind of sketch plan, the preliminary and the first phase. All into one and the final, all into one, if it meets certain criteria. I just have to find that, give me a second.
Could be 36.
Mhm.
Times 4.
So yes, that's 10.3 waiver of procedural steps. So if a subdivision is not adding no new streets, there's no approvals required by the DEP, the Department of Environmental Protection, under the Site Location Law, Stormwater Law, or Natural Resource Protection Act. And the planning board approves, you can combine the procedural steps to kind of make it more efficient and quick.
You mentioned a while back about the appendices being included with the ordinance itself.
Yes.
Was that agreeable to exclude those?
I had a question on page 11 F, when it's speaking about the land has, the buildable lots have to have a minimum frontage of 200 feet on a road. And I wonder if, even if they're outside of the water district, they have to have that? Because ordinarily outside the water district, you only need 150 feet.
That's a good point. Let me clarify that.
If it is allowed to go down to 150, what does the board think? Do you want to put it to the minimum or do you want to leave it at 200?
I think that's a great, put it at the minimum, but
I'd second that.
Go with that too.
So if it came on 150, we would move it to 150 for road frontage.
I think that was some.
Yeah. I have another question on page 13. 2.11D. It references the availability of streams for disposal of effluents. why would you ever dispose of effluents in a stream?
Be very surprised, unfortunately. Um,
But it's effluent, really. Comes out of a mill or something.
It's,
Or wastewater?
Wastewater,
Treatment.
gray water,
gray water, yes.
Mhm.
or is it direct drive?
well, it's supposed to be, when it's effluent, right, it's supposed to be treated by that.
Discharge it into the river every day.
Effluent's treated sewage.
Yeah.
I doubt there's anybody at home treating their sewage, discharging.
No.
Unfortunately, I've run into this in other municipalities where this has been something, so I think this is just something that's put in there.
To protect us?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
it is something I can remove, of course, but it is just something I think that kind of has come a little bit standard in certain subdivisions. Ordinances, that is.
That's nothing to do with these storm drains that they like changed a lot of these bigger towns where they used to have them all together. They took them out of there because they had a hell of a thunder shower, would overflow everything. Is that something to protect that, is it?
Now, so this is all for private citizens.
Yeah, but
We have our own regarding, the town sewer.
I have a question.
Hmm.
If you're not able to connect to this, I guess, the municipal water here. If you are able to connect, are you required to also connect to the sewer, or can you have septic?
You have to be so far back off from the septic line in order to be exempt.
Okay.
200 feet, yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask one more question? On page 25, 4.9, when it speaks about the inspection of the CEO, and then it says that he shall report in writing to the CEO. Is that just an oversight? I mean, that would be like the code enforcement officer reporting to the code enforcement
That was an
officer?
oversight.
Uh,
That was an oversight.
It's approved.
let's say that twice.
I think I probably meant to wrote that the shall report in writing to the planning board or to another municipal officer, but I think I probably meant to check with you all on how you would like that to work.
Town manager.
Yeah,
I think we can just remove CEO and leave municipal officers. The board, is the board, the planning board, is that defined in this?
I think it should be. I would write the planning board just so it's not confused with another board like the select board.
Want to double check that through?
Should we put in the town manager there?
No, if it's municipal officers, I'll get that.
Okay.
And the subdivider or builder, I think that's gonna get subdivider or designated agent.
Okay.
Maybe.
On page 37, it references the Hancock County Superior Court, and we're under the Somerset County Superior Court for jurisdiction. Appeals to Superior Court under that section.
Thank you.
But there must be somewhere more specifications for subdivisions which could be eventually accepted by the town as a town road.
Not referring to a private road that could become a public road, or,
Any kind of a subdivision ordinance or a subdivision that could be developed off from a main road could possibly be accepted by the town as a town road, eventually meeting all sorts of specifications. Water, sewer, asphalt, hydrants.
right?
I just didn't know if that should be,
I mean, generally, that's included,
unless there's something else, I mean, if
So we have our ordinance for acceptance, but on page 17, section 3(3), it says that all proposed publicly private subdivision roads will be designed and constructed and installed according to our standards.
okay, so we have standards.
They have to be constructed to those standards. Then the town would have to accept if.
Correct.
And if it was a delay and the town wanted to vote to accept, they would have to make sure that the road we were taking would still. At where it needed to be for condition. It needs to be built up to the pretty much DOT standards, what it amounts to.
Okay.
We don't deal with like this. We deal with.
Right, I understand.
Payment.
Paving and
the hydro one
no
probably,
cul-de-sacs.
Or really.
there is, no, you're good. There is a requirement in here for letters from the fire chief to make sure that the fire chief and the, I don't think there's anything for the sheriff, but there is for the fire chief, so that would probably come under that if that's required.
For the sewer requirements, do they have a minimum lot size if you have septic? I know, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That is under the laws. That's on 2.6. So there's a different lot size requirement for residential lots that are connected to the water district, and then ones that have their own subsurface system.
Okay.
So this is no more stringent than state minimum.
I don't believe so, no.
It looks like.
This is pretty much what your existing was.
My background is stormwater and wastewater, drinking water, so that's the reason I have the question. Learning the differences.
Changes, I wrote another copy of it.
I wait.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put down the changes that she discussed with us today. And. We'll just have those on our notes. We don't have anything we need to vote unless there's anything that anybody's really
No,
burning about to give her the direction to move on.
Overall, I know one of the biggest issues we talked about was kind of usability and efficiency. How do people feel this draft is done?
I think
Better?
it's definitely streamlined more than what we have.
Okay.
lot size, is there any variances on these for hardship or on the road frontage or any of that.
Mhm.
I mean,
I mean, I think that's generally true of any land use. There's a variance, but you have to meet the hardship.
Yeah, hardship, you know. 180 feet, but it'd be a lot deeper or something. Where it is and so on and so forth.
Exactly. I can get you probably a edited version of this with red lines. Probably by the end of next week, with a fillable PDF version of that for you guys to review. Again, I would recommend not voting on this to send to the select board until we hear about the new laws regarding subdivision definition, but hopefully we'll hear by the end of the month.
Or we could wrangle it or something else down there.
So. I'll go through this one more time too, just for general editing and. Cosmetic stuff, just to make sure it's all looking okay. Otherwise, if you guys have any thoughts that you didn't think of this meeting, feel free to email Richard and he can let me know if you see any other mistakes or have any thoughts that you think should change. And we can discuss at the next meeting. Jean, did you have any other questions or thoughts?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Good job, Jean, you caught quite a bit.
I usually do.
On that,
There's no zoning. Have to do that on
The new shoreline zoning.
It's a little town. I'm used to the big town. Much more simple. That's the reason we moved here. Get away from the big town.
any public comment? In public? That was good. What do you want?
What do I want? Nothing today, Chuck.
Well, come on, dazzle us. Any other business?
Come on. I'm trying to absorb blur.
Oh, God, you just walked. How big a town you come from?
San Antonio.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Same population as the Empire City.
You said the biggest.
It's the same population.
Oh.
as
Oh, yeah, okay.
the Town.
Yeah, yeah, thanks, Darren.
So not get out of there fast enough.
There's a lot of crazy people down there. I took them one on a road trip down there. There's a lot of crazy people.
And now, any other motion, or any kind of motion to adjourn?
I think one of the things that impressed me the most is they have these digital signs on the highway and it tells you the death total,
Those all in favor of adjourn?
okay?
Yeah, there
And
you go, you got your second.
No, you, Gene. Will you, Jane,
What?
you in favor of adjourning? The meeting adjourned?
You're gonna adjourn, aren't you?
What?
You're running the show.
No, but are you in favor of adjourning the meeting to adjourn? Yes
Oh,
or no?
yes,
Yeah,
sorry.
oh, yes.
me,
Goodbye.
yes.
Yes.
Right.